So the first story. In a small town where every day merges with the previous one, a story unfolded that did not fit into the daily routine at all. A virtuoso game of fate intertwined the destinies of two completely different people. It would seem that nothing connected them, except for one thing: a dating site. Isla, a young and talented photographer, has always been committed to the idea that life is made up of moments to be captured and enjoyed every moment. She decided to try her hand at online dating, hoping to meet someone who would share her view of the world. Martin, an outwardly ordinary guy, but inside him a storm of unfathomable feelings was raging. He was obsessed with the idea of perfection, an idea he saw in death. Under the guise of an ordinary young man was a serial killer who found his victims on the internet. Their virtual world became the place where their fates intertwined. On the background of beautiful photos and sensitive correspondence, something more than a simple acquaintance was born. Isla immersed herself in the world of Magtin, not realizing that the one who seemed so charming to her, in fact, keeps dark secrets. But the story didn't stop there. Suddenly, young women started disappearing in the city. Some of them involved online dating. One of Anna's friends was among the missing. The trail led to Magnin. In his profile on a dating site found mentions of meetings with the missing women. The police began to investigate, but for Anna it was something unbelievable. She couldn't believe that the man she'd fallen in love with could be such a brutal killer. And then, when the case seemed to be solved, when Martin was arrested and it turned out that he really had a connection with the disappearances, there was an unexpected turn. Details of the investigation led to an incredible truth. Martin was accused innocently. The investigation discovered that the real killer was another man who used the same dating site to find his victims. This man skillfully manipulated all of his actions to pin the blame on Martin. For Anna, it was a shock. She realized that not always the visible mask of love can hide the dark sides of the human soul. The story found its final, but the imprint of fear and distrust remained with Anna, reminding her that true mysteries are hidden not only in detective investigations, but also in the people we think we know. Second story. On the vast expanse of the boundless internet, among the many profiles on a dating site, two fateful nicknames met in virtual space. One of them belonged to Olive, a mysterious and enigmatic young man whose eyes, as if hidden behind a veil, ignited the interest of thousands of women. The other nickname belonged to Lena, a beauty with soft features and a radiant smile, but with sad eyes, in which hid unknown suffering. At first sight, Oliver and Freya bribed each other with their mysterious photos and cryptic descriptions of themselves. Their correspondence became more and more intimate, as if they were revealing their deepest secrets to each other. Finally, they decided to meet. In a dark alley, under the light of a street lamp, they finally saw each other in person. Oliver with his enigmatic eyes and Freya with her anguished look. At first glance, it seemed that they were made for each other. However, as time passed, Oliver began to notice strange nuances in Freya's behavior. She would often disappear for hours at a time, claiming she had important business to attend to. Her phone was constantly ringing, but she never picked it up in his presence. Oliviga's suspicions began to grow. One day, unable to bear it, he decided to follow Freya. He saw her meeting a man at the entrance of an expensive hotel. Shocked, Oliver realized that Freya was a prostitute. The bitter truth about Freya shattered all of Oliver's illusions about their relationship. He felt cheated, betrayed, and lonely. But instead of walking away, Oliver decided to make sense of it all. He broke into Freya's computer and discovered a whole network of her deceptive schemes, hidden under a layer of virtual romance. Freya was a master of disguise. Her online dating profile was just the tip of the iceberg. Oliver decided to go for a confrontation. He summoned Freya to a meeting and revealed everything he knew to her. At first, she tried to deny it, but then she confessed to her deeds. Eventually, Oliver realized that behind all her secrecy and lies was only a desire to be loved and accepted. He realized that even the most mysterious and enigmatic people can be in pain and in need of understanding. Although their relationship was broken, Oliver could not help but feel compassion for Lena. Instead of plunging into revenge or anger, he wished her to find true love and sincere happiness. And so, two mysterious Nicks, who met in the virtual world, went their separate ways, each with their own secrets and their own suffering, but leaving the memory of a brief but bright moment in their hearts. A Tereth story. On the dark background of the smartphone screen flashed millions of dots, each representing the human soul searching for its soulmate. Two stood out among them, Michael and Allison. Their correspondence began in an endless stream of emoji and incomprehensible phrases. They laughed, shared their hobbies and dreams. The virtual world seemed real to them, and they looked forward to a date in real life. That evening at a coffee shop, they met face to face. Allison was a stunning beauty with bright eyes and a gentle smile. Michael, sitting across from her, felt like he was in a dream. They talked about so many things and time seemed to slow down. But behind the mask of a perfect first date lurked something dark. After a few dates, Michael began to exhibit strange behavior. He became nervous, avoided direct questions, and was constantly distracted by his phone. Allison couldn't figure out what was going on. At some point, she decided to find out the truth. While going through the correspondence on Michael's phone, Allison came across some horrifying messages. It turned out that behind that charming facade was a pervert who harbored a sick attraction to young girls. He used a dating app to find his victims. Allison realized she was in danger. She hid her phone and rushed outside, trying to get away from Michael. Her heart pounded as she felt his shadow following at her heels. Finally, Allison made it to the police station and told what had happened. The police arrested Michael, and it turned out that he already had a criminal record. Thanks to Allison's courage and perseverance, she escaped a terrible fate. After the incident, Allison realized that even in a world where everything seems perfect, there are dark corners. She no longer believed in the promise of dating app profiles and decided to be more cautious. Even so, she realized that there was always room for hope and new beginnings in life. Despite Michael's arrest, the shadow of his ominous presence continued to haunt Allison. She felt the eyes of strangers watching her on the street, that shadows lurked in the corners of her apartment. Fear gripped her, and she realized that she would not be able to return to her normal life. One day when she returned home, Allison found a strange package on the doorstep of her apartment. Inside was a letter from Michael, written in blood. The words on the page made her wince with horror. She realized that escape was impossible, that dark shadows had caught up with her. That same night, as Allison was about to leave town, she was found dead in her own apartment. Written in blood on the wall was, "You can't run away from your past." Police were unable to find any trace of the perpetrator. Allison's death left behind many unanswered questions, but sometime later, another girl found her cell phone, which had all her messages with Michael recorded on it. Suddenly, a new message appeared on the screen of the locked device. "You're next." Michael's shadow continued to linger over the city, reminding everyone that even in a world full of light and beauty, there are dark corners lurking. Residents felt that they didn't know their neighbors, that danger could be waiting around every corner. And Allison became a symbol that you can't ignore the darkness until it swallows you whole.